So today I'm going to do something that's really not easy for me to do. I don't take joy in making videos like this. I hate seeing people lose money. And ultimately, I thought about making this video several times in the past, but decided against doing so because I wasn't ready to face all the people unsubscribing, disliking my video, all of this different stuff. But over time, I've come to realize that I just need to be transparent about what I've found in Marathon Digital Holdings, ticker symbol MARA. It's been almost a year now since I started doing due diligence on potential Bitcoin investments to make in the stock market. For those of you that might be new here, my biggest investment of all is a company called CleanSpark, and they just entered the Bitcoin mining space at the end of last year in December, and that's kind of what opened my mind to potential other investments related to Bitcoin. And that's when I started looking into the Marathons, the Riot blockchains, and all of these other different companies and potential investments. And honestly, what I found when I did my research on Marathon Digital Holdings, it was very disturbing to me, and it almost made me sick. And I'm going to say this here, and I've never publicly stated this, but I really believe that Marathon is an utter fraud, and it's an insider enrichment scheme. And I know as soon as you guys hear me say those words, there's going to be several of you that go down there and click the dislike, which that's fair game. Go ahead and do this. But I just encourage you to listen to what I have to say today, because everything I say today is going to be backed up with factual information. And again, I don't take joy in making videos like this. I hate when people lose money. But it's as good a time as ever to make this video. And if I ever was going to make this video, it needs to be now, after what has transpired today with Marathon Digital Holdings. So, for those of you that aren't aware, Marathon Digital was issued a subpoena by the SEC today. And anytime you're issued a subpoena by the SEC, it's generally not a good thing. And the subpoena is related to something that I saw in the company at the end of December. And I'll show you guys that now on the screen. You can see in this StockTwits post that I made on December 23rd of 2020 that this is really the only other time I have hinted or made a public statement stating that I felt Marathon could be fraudulent. And it wasn't easy for me to make this post either. And I didn't believe anybody would subscribe to what I was saying or thinking or really even give it a second thought, because it's not cool to go against the crowd. And the crowd was investing in Marathon Digital Holdings, and the crowd still is, at least up until today, investing into Marathon Digital Holdings. It's been the best performing Bitcoin-related stock over the past several months. So I can't knock that. And in fact, ever since I made this post, the stock is up 300%. But that hasn't stopped me from believing that Marathon is a fraudulent company. And when I made this post, I got a reply that I expected to get, where somebody said, "You bears come up with anything and everything to sound smart. LMAO. Nice try, laughing emoji, yawn emoji." So, if you guys know anything about me, you know that I am not a bear by any means on anything, really. I mean, I'm a permabull. I'm what you consider a permabull. So whenever I do go bearish on something, it's generally for good reason. And let me just say this. I sincerely hope everything that I'm mentioning and talking about in today's video is false. I hope what I have found, what my belief is about this company is false, because I want people to succeed. I want people to make money. And ultimately, when a fraudulent situation occurs, it's very bad for many, many people. So I hope I am incorrect. I hope I'm wrong. Let me get that out of the way. But basically what my concern was when I made this post on StockTwits was that this facility that Marathon was supposedly going to create unlimited power from, cheap power to power their Bitcoin mining operations, I found by doing just minimal digging that this facility had bankrupted several times in the past. It had never really operated at a cash flow positive level. And I felt that when I was looking into Marathon Digital Holdings, I don't know if they still do investor presentations. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But at least back then, their investor presentation was all about what's to come, what we're going to do. They had all of these outstanding projections, outstanding goals as a company. And they still have the chance to reach those projections and goals. But my concern was that Marathon, basically ever since 2017 or 2018, I can't remember when they first got into Bitcoin mining, they've had a history of way over projecting, way over promising to get hype into their stock, and then they would dilute shareholders after the hype entered their stock. And I'll give several examples of this later on in the video, but let me get back on topic about this facility. It just didn't make feasible sense to me that a coal-fired power plant was going to create unlimited, cheap, industry-leading power for Marathon Digital. And that's what the company painted it out to be with their partnership with Beowulf Energy. And we can see if I take you to this link, we'll see that this link tells you exactly what I just stated, that they couldn't find a buyer for this facility, that this facility had suffered economic losses since 2014. And this was concern number one for me. And then the fact you stack on top of this that the company has overprojected, overpromised to shareholders consistently ever since its inception, I just couldn't see this ever working out. I couldn't see, especially as Bitcoin mining companies have been pushed to be green and clean, I just couldn't see that a coal-fired power plant was going to do everything that Marathon promised it was going to do. And we'll see that the SEC subpoena that was issued to Marathon today has almost everything to do with that concern of mine that I had in December of last year, where the company has stated over and over again that this partnership with Beowulf Energy is a game changer, that this facility itself is a game changer, that they're going to have major profits as a result of this facility. But the thought here is that Marathon hasn't followed through with this. Think about it. I mean, when was the last time we got news on this Beowulf Energy partnership? When was the last time we heard miners were being shipped to this facility? And it's just all concerning to me. You guys can dig into this some more. I don't want to spend too much time on this one thing because there's other things I want to get into in this video. And honestly, we're still somewhat unclear of what the SEC subpoena is exactly for. We know that it's in relation to this facility that I had concerns about last year in December of 2020. We just don't know the specifics because Marathon didn't provide the specifics, and that's their choice. They don't have to specify the nature of the possible violations, but one can speculate, as I have, of what those violations could be, so I'll let you guys do that on your own. But let's go ahead and move into the next concern of mine. And I actually found this concern thanks to my investment in CleanSpark, where the facility that CleanSpark purchased was actually a facility that Marathon Digital Holdings PR'd. They released a press release on this, that they were going to acquire this facility. The company that owned the facility that Marathon was going to acquire was a company called FastBlock at the time. And this FastBlock company is now called ATL Data Centers. Again, CleanSpark owns this company and the facility in Atlanta. So you can see on August 26th, this is when Marathon released the press release that they were going to acquire FastBlock for $22 million in stock. And they talked about all the benefits that this would bring, but that's besides the point. Fast forward, and about a month later, we get news that Marathon Patent Group withdrew an offer to acquire FastBlock Mining. the companies were unable to reach a long-term power agreement at acceptable rates. So when I saw this, I didn't really know what to think. Honestly, there was pretty limited information out there on what all this entailed. All we knew was what Marathon told us, that they couldn't reach a power agreement with Fast Block in the city of Atlanta or whatever was going on there. But when this really became a concern for me, well, there's two things really. I should mention this, that the first time Marathon press released that they were going to acquire Fast Block Mining, they followed up that press release with lots and lots of share dilution. So they effectively diluted shareholders for an acquisition that wasn't going to take place. And, I don't have any experience with public companies, but this is just not something you release a press release on until you're certain that all of these different holes are filled, so to say, where if you are unable to reach a power agreement, don't release the press release that you're going to acquire the facility. Work that issue out before you let the public know. And that was issue number one for me. They diluted shareholders by a wide margin. You can go back on their SEC filings and see this, and they raised cash for an acquisition that never happened. Anyways, fast forward, where this really got concerning to me was after CleanSpark acquired this facility. CleanSpark, I'm not going to bring all this up on the screen because it's just too much information. If you guys really care about it, you can dig into it. But you can basically look at the different, I don't know if you call them town hall meetings between CleanSpark and the city of Atlanta or whatever. CleanSpark has had no issue working with the city of Atlanta and working out different power agreements and all of this different stuff. So I get really concerned when they withdrew this offer to acquire Fast Block Mining after I saw CleanSpark had no issue with it. And in fact, I think that Fast Block Mining or ATL Data Centers now is probably one of the best Bitcoin mining facilities in the country of the United States of America. It's a great facility. It's very profitable. It's 95% green energy powered. So this concerned me as well. Now, I'm going to get into why I believe that Marathon Digital is nothing but an insider enrichment scheme. And this is what truly made me the most sick and disturbed. When I looked into the company, this has been kind of a pattern for the company, where they would issue stock-based compensation in excess of their revenue numbers. And this just happened recently. And maybe I'll put this on the screen, maybe I won't. But you can see in the SEC filings, SEC Form 4s, that during the first 6 months of 2021, Marathon had mining revenue that equals about $57 million today because the price of Bitcoin obviously has appreciated. So it's worth $57 million now, all the Bitcoin they mined in the first 6 months of 2021. But they followed that up and paid out $56 million in stock-based compensation to the management team. And then we look at the third quarter results, which we just got. They had $84 million in mining revenue, and they followed that up by paying out $96 million in share-based compensation. So when this company probably should be a profitable company on paper, it's not, because the company is paying out to their insiders, to their management team. And it's one thing if this happens one time where there's a big lump sum of shares awarded or granted to the management team as incentive. But this gets really concerning when they're paying out in shares more money than they're mining, than their revenues. That gets really concerning to me because they're making the company unprofitable by enriching themselves, basically. And that doesn't seem right to me. And again, I don't know if I put that up on the screen for you or not, but you can look into that via the SEC Form 4s and the quarterly report. What I'm telling you is factual. So if we take this a step further, we can see and look at the insider transactions for the management team, and we can see that the management team has consistently sold the shares. Now, the reason this is concerning is because they're being issued this stock-based compensation, but they're selling right out of their own company and taking cash. Why would you do that if you felt that the price of your company was going to appreciate over time? And they were selling in bulk. I mean, this wasn't a matter of them having to sell shares to pay off their tax bill for the year. I mean, they were selling a lot of shares. That's what's so concerning to me. And honestly, if you want to know my own opinion on why Marathon didn't end up acquiring Fast Block Mining, it's because Fast Block Mining decided against it. They didn't want to be acquired by this company. I honestly think that that's what happened. I honestly think that because Marathon wanted to acquire Fast Block via issuing shares of their company to the owners of Fast Block, I think the owners of Fast Block believe that over time those shares might be worthless because they saw the impending doom, they saw the risk, they saw the mismanagement. And it's just so concerning because these patterns of insider enrichment, of over-promising, under-delivering, it's been a consistent pattern for this company since its inception. And it's just been so concerning to me. I've said it a lot in this video, but it truly has been. And I'm almost speechless about it, to be fair with you. Because, I don't know if people are just raised differently than me, but enriching yourselves at the expense of others is sickening to me. And when I say at the expense of others, we can just look at all the dilution that's taken place over the past several months even, or over the past year or a couple of years. It has been extreme. There has been so much dilution taking place. So let me go ahead and move into the second major news item that came out of Marathon today, and this is just as concerning to me. This morning, Marathon Digital Holdings issued a press release stating that they were going to offer $500 million of convertible senior notes due in 2026 in a private offering. And let me just break this down for you. These convertible senior notes, by the way, it does mention it in here, they're unsecured obligations of Marathon. That basically means that this loan or these notes, they don't have any of the company's assets backing them. So if Marathon has an inability to pay, their method of payment automatically becomes issuing more shares and diluting shareholders once again. Surprise! It's been a common pattern. So there's the potential here for $500 million worth of shares to be offered on the public markets, diluting shareholders by another $500 million worth of shares. And the fact that this is a convertible senior note and an unsecured senior note means that this interest rate, it wasn't made publicly available, is sitting somewhere between 8.5% to 10% is my guess. That is a very high interest rate. And guess what happens if the price of Bitcoin dips or tanks? Well, they don't have the ability to pay the interest on this loan because they wouldn't have the cash flows. Better yet, Marathon has very minimal cash flows as it is when Bitcoin is at prices at all-time highs right now. It still doesn't have the cash flows because they hold on to their Bitcoin. They don't sell it. So they don't have any cash that they can pay off a loan like this for. So I'm going to say it here. All $500 million of this convertible senior note, again, I hope I'm wrong. I believe all $500 million is going to become shares or equity in the company at some point in time. Whether that is the company choosing to pay the interest via shares, whether that's the company becoming unable to pay the interest rate. All of this different stuff. I believe that all $500 million will be converted to shares, which would be detrimental to shareholders, especially if the price of Bitcoin has already dipped or tanked at that point in time. But guess what? In all of this, guess what? The management team has already been issued so much share-based compensation. They've already sold so many shares that it really won't hurt them that much if their share price tanks, because they've already taken millions and millions and millions of dollars out of the company to enrich themselves at the expense of shareholders by diluting shareholders. Now, I know Marathon Digital Holdings has performed tremendously well over the past half year or a year, whatever you want to say. But you know what? You can build a house made from cards higher and higher and higher and higher and higher without falling. But as soon as one big negative catalyst hits, the house of cards comes tumbling down and it crashes. And I think that's part of what you saw today. Marathon was down 27% or something like that. It's becoming more and more apparent that Marathon at least has to address some of these concerns, because if they don't, it's going to be very bad and they're going to have terrible reputations. But the fact of the matter is, some people don't care about their reputation. Look at Trevor Milton at Nikola. He doesn't care about his reputation. He cared about enriching himself at the expense of others. And that's what's so sickening to me about this whole thing. It's so disturbing to me, and I can't stand it. But this video has gone on long enough. I could keep going with this. I've just addressed some of my concerns that I've found with the company. And until I'm proven otherwise, I do believe that Marathon is just an insider enrichment scheme, and it's fraudulent, and it is not going to be good for shareholders in the long run. I truly believe that. So at this point in the video, as I'm wrapping up here, if for some reason you still don't agree with what I'm saying, fair game. Please dislike the video. I appreciate you at least hearing what I had to say. That's what's so lost in today's day and age of stock market investing. Not even to stock market investing. If somebody doesn't agree with what you have to say, people don't listen to them. And it shouldn't be like that. We should be open to other people's opinions. On the other hand, if you did find this somewhat concerning, just like I did, please let me know down in the comments section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. If you guys are new here or returning and not yet subscribed, I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. But with that, I'll be back with a brand new video later this week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out.